Bria.
Thank you, Mrs. May. Can I also join in my colleagues' congratulations to the Honourable Member for Bassett-Law, not just for securing the debate, but for the outstanding work he does as chairing the APG. Given that we're running out of time, I will try and keep my comments brief. But I did want to reflect that in the streets of Finchley and Golders Green, which has the largest Jewish community of any parliamentary constituency, I have never seen or heard of the fear during the summer months. There's always a rumbling of incidents which concern my constituents. But this summer, I have never seen the palpable change in sentiment on the streets of my constituency and the change in the correspondence levels as people genuinely feared that the society in London had turned against them. Swastikas on buildings, not just on Jewish buildings, of synagogues, but on things like telephone boxes, just general intimidation. Youths driving down Golders Green Road, winding down the windows, shouting anti-Semitic abuse. Or whether it is barbers and elsewhere in London refusing to serve a Jewish customer. These kind of incidents we hadn't seen in Europe, really, since the rise of Hitler. And I don't use that term lightly, but these were the comments that my constituents were telling me. They felt that we had turned the clock back and that we had suddenly transported ourselves back to Nazi Germany. So, thank you.
I'm grateful for the member. And Border in his constituency, I've certainly experienced the same kind of problems that he has. Is he aware of a local Jewish newspaper that conducted a poll that concluded that 63% of many of our constituents actually felt no longer safe and were considering moving abroad as a result of that fear?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My honourable friend for Hendon is right. I've seen many of my constituents comment that they were now actively considering emigrating. I'm hoping that that view has passed now that things have calmed down. But that did highlight the genuine fear that was on the streets in my constituency. And of course, it was this anti-Israel sentiment that masked anti-Semitism, this constant dialogue in mainstream media that refused to differentiate between a Jew and an Israeli. And that laziness seeped into an ugly discourse which fed anti-Semitism. And one example here in London, the Tricycle Theatre, the disgraceful actions by an art organisation that banned the Jewish Film Festival, not the Israeli Film Festival, the Jewish Film Festival, because they disapproved of the actions of the Israeli government. But the very same theatre that was very happy to have a film festival funded by other countries that had government actions that they disagreed with or people disagreed with through internal conflict or where they were at war with their neighbours. But they singled out the Jewish Film Festival, and that is blatant anti-Semitism, the like of which we have not seen on the streets of London, and I hope not to see it again. But I also turn to one final thing, and then I will draw my remarks to a close, because I want to repeat myself. The demonstrations on the streets of London, people wandering around the streets of London, legitimately protesting about their views on the Gaza conflict, but waving placards saying Hitler was right, death to the Jews. And what shocked my constituents is the police stood by and allowed those people to walk past. Now, I've raised this both with the Met and with the Home Secretary, and I understand operationally the police are wary of wading in to lift these people out for fear of causing a further disturbance. I understand that, and I can accept that. However, and this is where I hope that the Minister is able to talk to his colleagues in the Home Office, what we need to see is high-profile prosecutions, in the same way we saw high-profile prosecutions after the riots in Tottenham. We need to see, the community needs to see, the public needs to see firm action of the police dealing with anti-Semitism. Then people will start to feel safe. And finally, Mrs Main, I do want to echo the words of the Honourable Member for Bassett-Law. The work of the APG and the departmental, the bipartisan work of the parties is a model. Clearly, there is work that still has to be done, but the fact that the UK, whilst we had problems, did not have the same problems that we saw in France and Germany is testament to the fact that what we're doing is having an effect. And I do hope that the Minister can give a commitment that we will continue to have the full support of this government and whatever government comes after it.